Good evening, and welcome to Targeted Massachusetts Northeast Conference. My name is Frank Allen. Tonight, we have a very distinguished guest. His name is Mojmir Babacek. He is from the Czech Republic, and I am actively searching for him. But he is not here yet. He just sent me an email, so I don't think it'll be too long. Okay, so how is everybody doing this evening?
Pretty good. How are you, Frank? It's Scylla.
Hi, Scylla. How you doing? You're doing pretty good, huh?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Ah, our special guest is here.
Oh, good.
All right, fantastic. Hold on. I think we're going to go right to Q&A mode from here. Okay, Mojmir, you've been unmuted.
Okay, I'm all right. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
You're coming in loud and clear. Where would you like to start this evening?
I have a special intention. I would like to talk about the fact
that
it's a really ripe time to start activity or serious activity to stop the mind control programs of the governments. Because if you don't mind, I would like to read the proclamation of the Party for the Freedom of Thought in the Digital Age. It's about one quarter of page.
That's fine. You can take your time and do as you please.
Okay. While the fifth generation of the cell phone networks is implemented and is supposed to create an Internet of Things controlled at a distance, in the sixth generation the brain should be connected to Internet and by the same logic controlled at a distance as well. The companies Apple and Samsung tested already in 2017 neuro gadgets connected to their iPhones, which could read brain activity via brain-computer interfaces based on EEG readings, and they expected that direct connection of brains and computers will gradually replace the use of keyboards, mouses, and voice instructions. So the world is getting ready for several years to connect the people's brains to Internet. But so far, no political party shows intention to defend the freedom of thought of citizens of their state. It is obvious that connecting the brain to Internet will mean that our brains could be affected by thoughts and opinions of somebody else who will decide what thoughts we will have in our minds and what decisions we will make. If we accept this situation, we will lose our political and personal freedom, and it will be possible to even interfere with our personal relationships. In the final stage, we could be all controlled by computers, which somebody will program to decide what we should think and what actions we would take. To connect our brains to Internet, not necessarily miniature electroencephalographical devices will be needed. Last year, the US Academy of Sciences admitted that those were most probably pulsed microwaves which were used to attack the American diplomats in Cuba and China and produced in their brains hallucinations and brain damages. When pulsing cell phone microwaves in frequencies of firing of neurons in the brain, it can be possible to connect brains to internet and control the brain activities of whole populations. In 2007, the US daily The Washington Post wrote that in 1994, scientists were able to transmit into the brains of volunteers marginally intelligible phrases. 24 years later, the scientists from the American DARPA agency engaged in the research of advanced military technologies, James Giordano, told in a lecture to American cadets that his agency developed nanoparticles which can be aerosolized and when breathed in will penetrate into the brain and in this way will enable still easier connection of the brain to transmissions in the air controlling the brain activity. There is no legislation protecting citizens against attack on the activity of their brains or bodies. Freedom of thought can be guaranteed only by legislation prohibiting under harsh penalties transmissions into the air of any energy in frequencies corresponding to frequencies of the activity of the functioning of human brain. To connect its brain to internet should be possible for a human being only with the use of cable connection that makes it possible to disconnect again. Governments will have to provide for the detection of forbidden transmissions and establish teams capable to find their sources and verify the complaints of people who will claim that their bodies or nervous systems are attacked by organized energies from outside. The legislation should provide the clause that representatives of human rights organizations will be members of those teams. Since the official media do not inform the general public about those dangers to freedom of people, and so evidently there is no political will to enact those legislation, we have decided to form a party for freedom of thought in the digital age, which has the goal to open public discussion on this subject. If people will be deprived of their natural interaction with their natural and human environment, it will easily result in the extinction of human species. We are looking for people who would like to participate in the effort to protect human mind and soul from manipulation by outside energies. Well, I hope it was understandable. Yeah. Did you hear me?
That was very, very good and very understandable.
Oh, thank you.
I have read through that piece myself and found it to be very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I believe perhaps we could discuss the feasibility of launching such a party. I'm launching this party in the Czech Republic. I'm just at the beginning. I don't know how it will work, how many people I will get to cooperate. I wonder how much you think it would be feasible, for example, in the United States. I think those parties should exist all over the world because without an international agreement against mind control, there is no chance to stop like those experiments in people or even the activity of future governments.
I agree 100%, and it must be stopped in each state so that it does not monopolize the world.
Yeah,
Over our children and
yeah.
our children's children.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And we should act. Yeah. The people don't know about it. The governments don't publish, don't allow publications on this subject. So we have to find ways how to like internet groups and stuff like that could certainly help to spread the information, or disseminate the information.
Yes, this will take over the world if we don't stop it in our individual nations.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, if one nation state sees the progress in another, it is more likely for them to follow suit.
Yeah, that's true.
Are you going to try and activate legislation in the Czech Republic?
I will see what can I manage. I know that there's one news, but it's not very good news, that the European Union is preparing some text on artificial intelligence, where next week it should be published, and there is some talk about making decisions for people. That they don't say manipulation of minds, so they talk in some other language about it. But there is some growing chance to win, but we have to persuade people about the right ways, how to stop the mind control technologies, because the governments will probably not do it in a rather convincing way or effective way.
Have you entertained the thought of contacting the UN? We have a brand new questionnaire that has been presented to us.
From the United Nations, yeah?
Yes.
It was from this Meltzer, or?
Yes.
Yes. And he sent those forms, like these questionnaires?
Yes, like NGOs, like Targeted Massachusetts or the Allen Institute.
Yeah.
If you put your letter together with an NGO, it will be seen rather than discarded. Sometimes individual submissions do not get viewed.
Yeah, and is the form dedicated exactly to mind control, or is it like just cyber torture?
Cyber torture, which they actually equate with mind control.
The trouble, in my opinion, the trouble is that United Nations are governed by the right of veto that have United States, Russia, and China. I don't know who else. But if those superpowers do not agree on the ban of mind control technologies, the United Nations will not be able to push this subject.
That's true. We need more countries to actually follow suit and fall in line with the United Nations.
But this right of veto, it's something that's in their rules, and they cannot surpass it. They can't get over it if this is the way it is right now. It's good certainly to fight in our countries for publication of the feasibility of like enslavement of mankind by mind control technologies, but it will help. But the United Nations have no freedom to decide. As
Well,
far as I understand it.
We have a United Nations that is headed actually by China.
Right now?
Yes. I believe he is in charge. And China is actually the largest perpetrator of mind control in the world.
Yeah.
And it's not too hard to imagine that China is focusing their satellites on the U.S. and many other states.
Yeah, that was the same with Russia. I said, this Russian politician who said that the psychotronic wars are actually taking place without declaration of war. This is what is happening in the world.
Yes, it is. The war will be won by the ones who are the best at psychotronic manipulation, by far. It's a terrible thing to wake up to. I woke up to it 9.5 years ago, and I didn't know what to make of it. I was a captive almost in my own home. I was totally devastated by this. Then I found the community. And we have a very large community here in the United States, ever growing. And I hope to help you, along with others, to find the targets in your country and to help you.
Yeah, I am in contact with people like but they are not very active. They just but they help me a little bit. They do.
Yeah, it takes a lot to get through to the government. We have CIA agents that have retired. One is Dr. Robert Duncan. He's written several books. I'm sure that you have possibly read one or two. And we have Dr. John Hall, who has written a book called Guinea Pigs. And that we have been. But by whom? I am not going to sign on to by whom yet until I actually get some solid proof that this is coming from U.S. satellites, or the U.S. is using the Schumann resonance on the ionosphere, which I have recently, as late as today, learned from way up high that this is what they're doing.
That's right.
Yeah. The communications techniques are what we have to work on. There are many ways that they can communicate these waves to us. Quantum computing has with it quantum communication. And do you have any feelings on that? This is your time, not mine.
I didn't understand right now. If I have any feelings on
how this is delivered to us. There are many different.
I am afraid that there are too many technologies how to do it. Like even in quantum physics, there is at least two concepts that could be used for communications to brains. One of them is non-local electron and photon connection, and the other one is the potential fields.
Okay, could you slow down and repeat those? I did not pick those up, and that's the first time I've missed any of your conversation.
The non-local electron connection and non-local photon connection.
Oh, Okay, all right. I gotcha.
Yeah.
Now, the photon connection would be the quantum communication connection, and that would go into Einstein's work.
Yeah.
And if it is that, it's going to be hard to beat, I think, because that involves a stream of photons, I believe, doesn't it? I'll let you explain it because you're...
When two photons or electrons meet, they act the same way ever since, but only as far as long as the environment doesn't disconnect them. But I don't know, it's just possibility that could be used. Certainly that's a future possibility.
Yes, and the other one is, this has been around, I believe, from, we'll say, approximately 1969 until 1976. This poses many improvements that have been made. Since back then there were no cell phones, there were no cell towers, there were very few satellites in use. So again, I'm taking up your time, and I really don't want to do that. This is your time this evening. Would you like to take a question?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay, we have Nashville, Tennessee. Go ahead, Nashville.
I'm a targeted individual in Fairview, Tennessee, which is right out of Nashville, and I've been cyber stalked since 2016 and gang stalked since September of 2019, and I have microwave hearing. It's since April of 2020. I have lasers on my feet right now from the time I wake up to the time I retire. I've been hit many times with directed energy weapons. Today I have been, and they've actually knocked me out at one point.
Okay, Nashville,
for several hours.
What is your question? Because I am going...
My question is about this microwave hearing. Because I understand that Schrevers Air Force Base in Colorado Springs has underground facilities that they man 1,800 satellites up in space, and there's 1,300 of the Air Force personnel manning those satellites that have lasers and directed energy weapons attached, and they're targeting women, mainly women, across the United States. But my question to you is: this microwave hearing, is that coming from Air Force Space Command? Or is that, who's triggering that?
That's a difficult question. It may be even other technology, as we were discussing with Frank. Even other technologies could be used for this kind of hearing inside of the brain.
It's constant ticking, buzzing, and I understand it does over time does brain damage. I know the FCC they're unresponsive as to where it's coming from. They won't answer anybody's question. But the lasers on the feet, is that the vercator? Is that the vercator where your feet burn and it's like a burning sensation?
Okay, let's not load him up with questions, too many questions.
I just would like to say that as far as people who hear voices are concerned, I don't know about anybody who would stop hearing voices in a Faraday cage.
I'm sorry, sir. I can't understand you. I do apologize.
But people who hear voices hear them.
I don't hear voices. I have B2K, but I don't hear voices. They're not implanting voices in my head.
It sounds like it doesn't help to stop microwave hearing there. So it's described
microwave hearing, yeah.
The hearing caused by perhaps no local electron connection or potential fields. Just a question. I don't know really. Yeah.
Well, I can't understand you, so I do apologize. But
thank you.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Is this Mr. Allen? Yeah, I did send you an email.
Okay.
About 2 months ago. I don't know if you ever got my email explaining my circumstances. I mean, I'm a victim of vehicular stalking. I just want to let you know where they change out every single part in my car. I mean, it's been weaponized against me. They've changed the VIN number on my car. It doesn't even match the car that I bought. I mean, it's just...
That comes under the heading of vandalism. Okay, that's a police matter. If your VIN number has been changed, that means that VIN number is not going to match any of the other numbers on the car, and you are in serious trouble.
They've changed the VIN number, and it's not the car that I purchased. And they tell you not to go to the police. What are the police going to do, Mr. Allen? Am I really speaking to Targeted Massachusetts? Because they're in this phone. They've
Targeted Massachusetts, and you are on our conference call.
I know, but you're telling me to go to the police when what are they going to do about a rigged VIN number? You tell me, what can they do?
All right, this time is very precious. Mojmir is calling us all the way from the Czech Republic. Okay.
Okay, I guess I am. Okay, I won't keep. Okay. I wish I could just talk to you personally about my situation.
Call me tomorrow. 508.
Okay, at that
857-8334.
And at any particular time or?
After 1.
Okay.
I'm not going to take any more.
I'll do that. No, thank you.
Okay, I'm going to give the floor back to you, and you can carry on.
Okay. Other questions?
Not as yet. No, I figured we'd speak together for a while and see if we can generate some more interest and some more questions. I know there's a lot of people on this call who do have voice to skull, like myself.
Yeah.
I get attacked as they do on a daily basis. And the V2K is 24/7. There's no let up. And they do abuse substances. And when they do, that causes even more problems. That's what they've been doing as of late. They've been abusing alcohol and still doing their targeting. But I'm going to give the floor back to you. As soon as you pause for 3 seconds, I will hop right in there and give you a hand.
Well, I believe that for everybody who is victim to those experiments or what it is, should participate in the organization that would be active towards the public with effort to defend the freedom of thought and prevent the mankind from falling into the abyss of those new technologies.
Right. We're trying to understand at this point in time. That paper that you were reading, I have read thoroughly, and that explains very succinctly how the system works. And I was very impressed with that paper that you wrote. And I would like to see if I can understand if the targeting is any different in the Czech Republic. Or it sounds to me like it's about the same.
About the same, I think so. But there also, I know several people who hear voices. Then there are people who just feel attacked by microwaves on their bodies.
Right. The psychological attacks are equally offensive. The psychological attacks take you back to when you were a small boy.
Yeah.
And they use tactics such as bathroom tactics. They use all kinds of different things, and which you know. And they use these against us, and continual name calling and berating, degrading all day long until the cows come home. And it's no fun, and I'm sure you know all about it. But if you'd like me to, we do have a question from Expedia Center. Would you like to take that question, sir?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead, Expedia Center.
Hi, Frank. This is Kim from Massachusetts. How are you?
Very good, Kim. How you doing?
I'm hanging in there. Trying to stay positive every day. Thanks for taking the call.
Sure.
My question for Czechoslovakian, I'm not sure how to...
His name is Mojmir, I believe. Is that correct? You don't pronounce it?
Yeah, Mojmir.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. My question is, do you, in the Czech Republic, do you experience, you talked about experiencing the microwave directed weapons at the citizens there. Have you ever visually seen, not by eye, but perhaps by film or camera, the lasers coming through walls and buildings?
No, I did not. No.
So you're not familiar with that?
Mm-hmm.
You've only...
I've built a Faraday cage in my garden, but it doesn't work perfectly. But so I can't really use it. So I thought I would invite people to see if they feel better, to see if it's a microwave or electromagnetic energy that is used against them. But there's still some frequencies to penetrate inside.
Yeah,
Okay.
I didn't explain to you that Mojmir is a learned professional, highly educated individual, and he is devoting his time to getting rid of this problem that we have.
It's so fantastic.
It is really fantastic. And he has some wonderful works that he's put out. And we're going to put a page up, I think, and just exhibit his work on this page.
Okay. So if nothing's ever been visual, how do you
Lasers you can't see. If you
Not
see a
by
laser...
eye.
Excuse me?
Not by eye, no.
No, you can't.
You can't see it by eye, but you can see it through film if you get it at the right time, and it has to be the right light and the right camera that takes the picture. I've recorded videos with them coming through the walls and the beams the particle beams and all different kinds of lasers.
There is a big trouble that you don't know what rays you are collecting or what rays you are seeing. The air is full of all kinds of radiations, and you never know what the radiation means.
So people that have complained about being attacked with the directed energy weapons, why would you call them, lasers or weapons if they don't know, if they haven't seen anything? Is it just from their symptoms?
No, that is the trouble. There are being used technologies that people don't have access to and can't really detect them and get evidence that something is being used against them.
Mm-hmm. I see.
He is a researcher, a devoted researcher, and he's putting his findings into scientific papers. So the best thing to do is, after this, look for his papers because they are fantastic. They are real. And we'll have them posted before too long here. I'll probably...
All right, last question for you. Is there a place that you have that I could upload maybe some images for your viewing?
Sure.
Of lasers? I mean, is there a place where I can upload that?
You can send them to us, and we'll be happy to take a look.
No, where do I send them, Frank?
Send them to frank@targetedmassachusetts.org.
Okay, and then you'll forward them wherever you see fit?
Definitely, most assuredly.
Okay, excellent. Okay, well, thank you for your time.
Oh, thank you very much.
Well, I just realized there's one more thing that would be very important, and that would be to find a detector that would be capable to find frequencies pulsed in brain frequencies. But this is really, I don't know about the device that could be used for this.
Right. We need a very expensive spectrum analyzer. It goes all the way down to 0.3 hertz, I think. What do you think, Mojmir?
I don't really know if it really can. I knew one technician who told me that this spectrum analyzer cannot do. It does other things, but to really a device that would specialize on frequencies or on radiation pulsed in brain frequencies, that would be the real device that could prove that somebody is being attacked in this way. But I don't know about this device.
Okay. The device has a screen, and it records anything and everything that's coming at it. And on current devices that are inexpensive, it will display the lower hertz range as clutter on the bottom of the screen and will not display it. So that makes it impossible to see an EEG or anything like that, anything close to that. So the expensive machine we actually have to buy is around, I'm told, around $10,000.
Oh, that's expensive.
Yes.
But are you sure you will? Because the trouble is that you have to go from one frequency to the other frequency every time, again search for waves pulsed in brain frequencies, and and this is a really great task. Like there is billions of frequencies. How can you find anything? You would need a special tool. I don't know which one.
Right. What have you used any equipment at home to try and locate these, or in your?
I didn't find anything. I hoped that perhaps something could be. If anybody had chips in the Faraday cage, those chips could be found if they didn't stop transmitting in the Faraday cage. But that's the trouble. The Faraday cage doesn't work really perfectly.
Yes, and the chips also charge through a coil and a capacitor, which acts as a battery. So it seems as though they are shut off, or were shut off, at the time of the measurements. As you know, the perps are very expert in looking through our eyes and hearing through our ears, and using tactile, using blood pressure, using right down to the temperature of your body and if you're sweating or not. So this has to be very advanced. And this could be probably 30 years or 40 years ahead of what we see in the marketplace. But some of it is making its way into the private sector and consequently to the private citizens. But we have a lot of ground to cover and a lot to learn. And it's people like you that uncover so many different aspects of this targeting. That it's really great to have you on board. I personally, and I'm sure Ella would agree, and Midge Mathis, everyone, that we would all like to act as one and see if we can help you and you can help us, as has been done with many other countries.
Yeah, I believe the best chance is to go public and persuade the public that they wish to keep their freedom of thought, because that's the situation is developing in the way that perhaps nobody will be able to keep his freedom of thought. But this, when we convince people that they will defend their freedom of thought, then the legislations will be enacted that will protect even the targeted individuals.
Okay, we have another question here. This is coming from Sam. It could be Samantha, it could be a Sam, but here's Sam. Go ahead.
Am I on?
Yes, you are.
My question is about the death of the dearly beloved late Czech President Václav Havel. And I'm asking you, do the Czech people believe that his death was from natural causes, or do they know that he was murdered?
I didn't understand why.
Excuse me? Václav Havel, the late Czech, the most beloved poet, the most beloved country the world ever knew.
Frank, could you tell me what she was asking?
She's covering an area that you may not want to go over the radio where you are.
Oh, okay, all right. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Yeah, we have to use a little common sense here, folks.
Common sense?
Yeah.
Common sense, huh? Yeah.
She was just too loud, I guess, to be intelligible or understandable. I don't know.
Yeah, well, you know, you're in a foreign country. We don't understand the relationship you have with your government, so we don't want to bring up any provocative questions.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she was interested just in, you know, basically in your late president's death, how they ruled it.
In the Czech Republic,
Yes.
there is freedom of press, not better than in China. I was surprised that in China there is like television that is programming or having programs on mind control, but in the Czech Republic there is no such television, like internet television, of course.
Right. Now, do you feel that in the Czech Republic that they have harnessed VHF and UHF to do this targeting? Or do you feel that it is strictly microwaves from a satellite or microwaves from where?
I don't really know what technology is being used. I thought with the Faraday cage I could find if people have chips or if there is, or if the Faraday cage will protect them. But there's a question what radiation is being used. I know that since the 50s, Russia and the United States, even the Czech Republic, were studying the psychotronics, like the people with psychic capabilities, in scientific matter. They're just looking for the physical principles of psychic phenomena.
Okay. Yeah, psychotronic warfare, as we said towards the beginning of this call, psychotronic warfare, the ones that lead the way will win that war. Mm-hmm. And in terms of data sets for AI, China has many more people than we do, so they would have a superior data set. The United States only has 327 million people, so they have to, you know, purchase data wherever they can, and we've seen the effects of that because they're actually, I can't really get into that because we have a problem with one of our providers, and there are certain areas that we don't want to get into, and that's one of them. But, could you explain your latest paper that's coming out? There are a lot of people that have just joined us.
You mean the paper that was published on Global Research, or?
You said you have one coming out, or was just published, or one that is coming out?
There was one published like 3 weeks ago, I don't know.
Okay.
Or 1 month ago, something like that. It's just longer article than the one I was reading at the beginning of this talk. Yeah, this in some ways it's just a longer proclamation of the Party for the Freedom of Thought in the Digital Age.
Right. Yeah, the targeting has changed. Year to year, it seems to change. I wouldn't say against us, anymore, but it certainly isn't helping us. This technology seems to move forward
very fast that we don't manage to learn all this that's going on. You know. I propose I'm making the statutes for the Party for Freedom of Thought in the Digital Age, and in those statutes I demand, or the party should demand, that scientists will be obliged to publish their findings if they could be harmful to people. Yeah. That's maybe naive, but this is the way to go if science shouldn't destroy this world.
Okay, yeah, you have to excuse me. I was looking for someone who did want to ask a question.
Yeah.
Let me look at the queue. Okay, yeah, this is something that we all have to stick together on. We've all agreed on that over here, but it is easier said than done because there are, unfortunately, in some states, there are problems getting people together because they're so far apart in their own state. So we have had difficulties in the past, but we are starting to pull together now. Mm-hmm. And it looks as though this country is coming together with targets faster and faster all the time.
Mm-hmm. Do you find some sympathizers in the United States, or among people who are not targeted?
Yes, I have done a lot of studying, taking off on a number of different works by a number of scientists like Tesla.
Mm-hmm.
I have performed a number of his experiments, right down to wireless electricity, which is actually comparatively simple. But I think the answer to this might lie within his work.
I don't understand the answer to this.
Nikola Tesla.
Yeah.
You have studied a lot of his works, I'm sure.
Some I did. Yeah.
Yes. Now, how is your own targeting? What do you experience yourself in terms of your own targeting?
I'm trying. Somehow I managed to live pretty much my life, but I in some ways I'm not sure how much I think for myself. I am not sure. Perhaps some of my thoughts are not mine. I don't know. But I'm trying to live my life, and I rather succeed in it.
Well, that's what I do, and I think that's what a lot of us do, what most of us do, and that is the best we can. And I've been fortunate that I can keep my mind.
Yeah.
Many others, unfortunately, have been driven to terrible deaths, and I don't intend to be one of them.
Yeah.
And it's a matter of fighting back. And if you submit, if you tell them, okay, they've beaten me, you're done.
Yeah.
You have to be a fighter. You have to say, tomorrow is another day. They are never going to beat me. And you have to hold on to that positive attitude. That's what I've learned.
Yeah.
And that's what I tell everyone. And my best friend in terms of a countermeasure is a shower. So like sort of degauss, you know? And that's what helps me the most. So what kind of countermeasures do you believe that you have found over there?
I don't know. I don't think I found any.
Yeah, well, yeah, a lot of people claim to have countermeasures, but when you put them on the grid line, they don't work. They might, and what we use over here is, okay, they work for them. But in my opinion, the targeting is pretty much all the same. It's just where you are in the targeting program. If you're at the beginning, naturally, it's going to be different than if you're 9, 10, 15 years into it. Your targeting is going to be quite different.
Mm-hmm.
How many years has it been for you?
I started doubting about if I'm completely myself in 1984.
Okay. 1984. That gives you a lot of time to watch the targeting progress.
Mm.
And between 1969 and 1976, as I said earlier, we did not have cell phones. We had very few satellites.
Mm.
We had very few actual frequencies back then. We had some radio frequencies. We had television frequencies. Now we are overloaded with frequency.
Mm.
But I'm going to let you take the floor. If you would like to read that piece again, we have a much larger audience now. That's totally up to yourself.
Yeah, I'm a little bit getting tired. I'm not used to I'm speaking in a foreign language. I'm not very good at it.
You're very good at it, I think. You sound very good.
Mm.
But I realize that it is approaching 4 a.m. there, and
Yes.
you probably don't want to spend too much more time on, but
Yeah.
you've got as much time as you want.
No, maybe half an hour, but then I should go to bed.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
you can do that too, and I will write to you, and I will make your address available to those that would like to have it with your approval.
I'm too busy. I don't want to answer too many emails because I can't really help anybody. I don't have any method how to protect anybody. I know I'm really starting this party like for freedom of thought in the digital age, and it takes a lot of work. So I don't want to reply to many emails because I will not help anybody anyway.
Right. Okay. Well, that's fantastic. I look forward to reading that. Where can we get a copy of that? Is this
I'll mail you this copy if you want.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
That sounds fantastic.
Mm.
Well, it's
I will translate as well the part of statutes where what I will want our party, I hope, will demand from the government what legislation they should make.
Sure.
Okay.
Would you like to take part in the UN paper that we have to write?
This is like filling out this form for the matter.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I sent in some form already before. I don't know. I don't really feel that I would do it one more time.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right then. Okay, let me see. We don't have anybody in the queue right now in terms of asking a question. So, would you like to carry on?
Yes, we can. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let me see. How do you feel? What did you now? You did this paper. What did you use as examples? We'll say to write this paper, targeting in the digital age. We'll say and.
I'm just collecting information on developments in the world and so informing about it in some like newspaper-like manner. I don't know if you read the article on neurotechnology, like or neuroethics. There's a lot of literature, a lot of discussion among scientists about how much the freedom of people could be influenced or controlled. I'm really disgusted by the fact that those scientists even admit they talk about neuroenhancement. I don't disagree with this kind of manipulation of mankind.
Well, I believe the brain should be the final brick wall that no one can go beyond.
Yes, exactly. This is the principle of our survival too, because if we don't protect our brain, we will be destroyed. There's no way.
Yes, exactly. They have to be stopped somewhere. And that is it. The skull has to be the limit.
Yeah.
Under no circumstances should they be allowed to do this, even if it helps mankind. Because
if someone is paralyzed and they will put some device in his brain that will help him, I don't mind this. Of course, it's okay, but you can't control people's lives in this way if they don't wish it or don't agree to it.
I agree 100%. I'm sure everyone here does as well. Has to be stopped. It has to be stopped now.
Yeah.
This year or very soon. And the reasoning behind that is every day that ticks by that we don't do something about this is a day that they proceed further ahead. Another mind that they've latched onto.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we have a gentleman, Matt. Go right ahead, Matt.
Hey, I was just wondering if we can use like lasers to detect microwave weapons, and like I have a bunch of ideas here, like a TI memorial. I was hoping if you know a target who's died, like you should probably write them down, like especially if you like run places like this, you know.
Yeah, we have a very concise list, and I will definitely provide you with any additional names that you need for the memorial. I didn't know whether you were going to do that yourself or whether you wanted assistance with it, but certainly it's a good idea. It's been suggested to me many times so that people can actually see how many individuals have perished due to this terrible, terrible plague. This makes, don't even say what it is, because I'll get in trouble. But it makes the current situation look good in terms of, because I every time somebody says the COVID word, we get slammed at YouTube. Right now we're slammed all the way up to July the 11th until we can post something. But I took down the offensive material that they called offensive, which was really a very great interview. And it's because it contained COVID. So I am not even going to bring up COVID anymore. So I'm hoping that we can get this video with Mojmir Babacek on it and uploaded. And if we can do that, I'll be very, very happy.
All right, I'll email you about the memorial, and
yeah.
Also, I was wondering if you could have like some sort of professional who knows about V2K to like come up with like a test that would determine how likely it is that you're receiving V2K instead of like hearing voices in your own head.
Well, I tell you what, schizophrenia after the age 25 or 28 is unheard of, 35 years of age tops. So if you're 45 or 50 and somebody diagnoses you as schizophrenic, tell them, where did you get that diploma of yours, that doctorate? Go back and see him, because you can't get it at that age.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting indeed, because many TIs have been diagnosed as schizophrenic at age 50, at age 55, at age 60. You won't believe it, the number that have been diagnosed.
Wow.
So
the trouble is that psychologists are not educated in possibilities of mind control from outside.
Right. Exactly. The people with the mind control have been diagnosed with schizophrenia. We have to re-educate the medical community. Mojmir, how does the medical community treat this in your country?
No, that's just regular. Like people who complained about electromagnetic attacks went to mental hospitals. It was just the world is so that if major media don't tell that the mind control by some radiation is possible, then it is not true. That it is impossible, since media didn't tell that. And then the psychologist will think that whoever hears voices is schizophrenic.
Yeah, there's a gray area there. There are two factions that need to be re-protocoled, for lack of a better word, and that is the medical community and the police departments.
And that is the point of education of the whole population of the health, because they should know it. It's terrible. I understand that the governments have real big trouble of admitting to people that they can control their minds, but they have to admit it, or other people have to push them to admit it.
Yes. It's very hard to approach, we'll say, the medical community under any circumstances and say that you are a targeted individual and that you are receiving V2K. The minute you say anything about voices, well, like you said, it's to the hospital with you. They'll annex you away to a state hospital. And the medical community actually funded and researched and displayed the research in a medical journal in the United States. The American Psychologist published, I think you wrote about it in your paper. And I was going to tell you that was the American Psychologist, and they actually reported that in 1975. And you had another magazine in there that also had reported it. Yeah, I found that most interesting because it was. I even have the grant number. I'll send you the newspaper clipping that I have on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm receiving your newsletter, and that is interesting information too. Yeah.
Yes, I will add your email address to our website so that you can pull documents. Do you have any problem translating them?
From English, no, I can understand very well.
Okay, that's very good. All right, Matt, do you have any more questions? You've got the floor right now.
I think that's it. I don't have any more questions.
Okay, thank you, Matt. Now, why don't you write to me or give me a buzz or text me at 508-857-8334, or you can write me at frank@targetedmassachusetts.org. Maybe we can work together on that
Sure.
idea of yours, okay? Thank you.
I was going to send like a chain email.
Yeah. That sounds great.
All right, thanks.
Sure. Bye now. Okay, that concludes the questions for now. That's the last question we have. And I guess I have a lot of questions for you, but the time to actually come out with the questions is actually a long time. And I'd like to get a more of a background of your country, I guess. And how many targets do you think there are? I have so many questions.
I guess maybe 30 people, something like that. Yeah. Not too many. I know that New York Times once wrote that in the USA there's 10,000 people, perhaps.
There's quite a few more than that. Yeah. Where are you getting your? I'm just curious. Where are you getting your statistics?
Just from people contacting me.
I see. Okay. All right. Well, there are a lot more than 1,000.
There may be more. Yeah. Some people, I remember one accountant who called me, and I told him this is national security information, and she never called back. She just understood this is very bad for her, and I don't know what is she doing now.
Yeah, you have to consider that there are many targets who are in prisons because of their targeting, perhaps. There are many targets that are in state hospitals and facilities. There are many targets in VA hospitals. And the rest of the targets we haven't found yet. And this is a very big country. And then you have the targets that are public. And this is an example right here. A cross-section, I would say there's 4,000 to 6,000 that are actually communicative. Because you'll see, like on Ella Free's, one of her videos, there'll be like, so many thousand that have viewed it. And it's really up there. Now, hopefully some of these people are non-targets. That's what we need to do too. That's the third faction or third group of people that needs to be educated. And that is the general public.
Yeah, that's exactly what we need to do here.
And the general public, perhaps the general public will be the hardest, believe it or not. But if you can sit somebody down face to face and have a chat with them, and they know that you're not crazy, but you're a targeted individual, so you must be. I've had people, I've talked with them for a great period of time, a long period of time, and then you tell them you're a targeted individual, they won't talk to you anymore. For whatever reason. And it's the biggest destroyer of families. If you tell your family that you're a targeted individual, they think you're a crackpot right away. Then after they finally believe that there is something to it, they don't want to catch it. So they think they still think of it as a disease and not as an attack on our person.
What I believe is that this coming sixth generation of cell phone telephony, people will have to realize, even the government will have to admit it, that this is what is happening. The brain-computer interface is already something else. That is something that people should realize what it is and should defend themselves.
Agreed. BCI, or brain-to-computer interface, is... they said they just came out with it. Then somebody from DARPA said, "Oh, wait a minute, we've been doing that for years." So it's not like people don't know about it. Now, MIT in January 19th, 2019, came out with the fact that they were sending voice to skull with a laser to a recipient that did not have a receiver. So that's another one. Do you want that paper? I'll send you that paper. Okay. Yeah, we have to open up a line of communication and stay in touch. I'll get that paper to you, too. Okay, does anybody else have any questions in our listening audience here? Okay, I guess that's it on the questions. Let me see what we have in the chat here. Okay, I'm not Said I had a private message here. I don't see it. I usually like to get those because it might be a phone call or something like that, you know. Okay, do you have any questions for us? Mojmir, do you have any questions for me?
No, I think I'm I could be ready to go to bed.
Okay. Well, I would like to say God bless.
God bless you.
And have a very good night's sleep. And I will be in touch.
Okay, I will be too.
You've met some new friends. Thank you so much.
Thank you too. You too.
All right.
Good night.
Good night. Okay. Mojmir is truly a very brilliant man, and we have been fortunate enough to have him on this call tonight, and I'm sure he'll be back, and we'll get another chance to speak with him. And he does have a brand new paper that has come out a short time ago, and I'll try and make that available, but I want to put up a web page and make it just his works. And I think that'd work out great. But the place has opened up. I need a coffee desperately. So who we got? Scylla's down there, right? Where is she? Ah, there you are. Scylla, could you take the comm just for a second? Now nobody's going to be there.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, okay. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Would anybody like to share anything tonight, please?
No, I'm just wondering, so how did this guy get a hold of these conference calls? He's from Czechoslovakia, is that right?
Yes, that's correct. We'll have to ask Frank, Doug, when he comes back. I don't know. I'm interested to know as well.
Well, and the other thing is, well, if Frank's going to put it in his letters or whatever, I guess he seems like he knows a lot about it. And just be interested to see what he has to say about it. Well, meaning that it's obviously going on in another country, and he's writing about it. So that's
right. Worldwide.
Absolutely worldwide. I have a question. Has anybody ever taken pictures of these microwave energy weapons and seen these ping pong balls and particle beams and lasers coming through their homes and directed at them? I mean,
I haven't. Anybody out there ever do that? Doug, you ever do that? You ever take pictures, try to see if the lasers are coming through the window?
You have to make sure that the actual light is on in the back of an iPhone in particular. And they have a way to get into your phone to make sure that doesn't happen, but you have to sort of reset your network settings and just get back in there and get in and hit down the video before they get in. And when you do, and the light goes on, it does pick up these particles that are coming through your walls, and they're directed at you, and beams and so on, and they're lasers. And I've been down to the police and gave them these and showed them these photos and videos from the neighbors, I should say, and they said, yeah, those are lasers. And I had to do an official report.
That's good.
So I'm just wondering. I'm wondering why I haven't heard more of that. Like, I'm surprised that people don't have those images if that's happening to them.
Okay.
Well, it doesn't happen in Massachusetts because it's illegal. I've never been affected.
What's that?
I'm in Massachusetts.
You are? Wow, those people are in a lot of trouble if you get them.
Oh, well, isn't it illegal everywhere?
No.
Isn't it illegal everywhere?
No.
Yeah.
No, it's not. Only in 2 states or 3. Maine, Massachusetts, and I believe Michigan.
Yeah, you got it right.
It's illegal, and everywhere else it's illegal?
It's illegal in Massachusetts, Maine, and Michigan, but everywhere else they're legal.
Lasers illegal.
You might have a case there. You get those people in a lot of trouble. They could go to jail for that.
What about New Hampshire?
They might be legal in New Hampshire. I don't know if laws have changed.
When we talk about, and this includes you too, Frank, when we talk about lasers being legal, I mean, we're not talking about those little pointers.
I was just talking about devices that they can buy and use through, like apartments and things like that. That's what I meant.
Okay. So is it legal for somebody to purchase these sort of microwave lasers,
Not
weapons?
in Massachusetts.
No,
but
you cannot take a microwave apart and use, I believe it's the magnetometer that's inside. I can't think, the word escapes me. But you can't take apart a microwave and use any parts inside there either.
Okay. When we talk, this is interesting. So you brought up a point that I've never heard of. In other states, in this nation, that's legal?
No one said it was legal. There are no laws against it. I'm sure that there are less specific laws.
Fines.
The Massachusetts has a very stiff law against that. Any directed energy weapon, which includes tasers, it goes through just about everything.
Wow. So outside of Massachusetts, in a different state, if people they do the tasers, and I know you can purchase them, like she said, and they use them against another human being, they just get a fine?
Oh, no. Sola, what do you think they would get? They're going to get the book thrown at them, but the weapon, it's not like holding a gun. It's like holding a different type of weapon. And yes, you get in serious trouble because it's a police weapon. Like, say, a taser.
It's military weapons, really. But Massachusetts is more severe because it's definitely illegal. But somewhere that it's not illegal or prison time, they still could get prison time?
Sure, most definitely. But there is a standing law, and they wouldn't have to be held over as long, because there is a law in place. But they wouldn't have to do, it wouldn't be very much creation to come up with a law. I mean, Massachusetts has a fine one.
Because we created a law, is what I'm hearing. And the other states have not sort of put in place a law.
Correct.
That's it.
Okay, gotcha. All right. Interesting and very informative.
Yeah, you should call the lawyer. You got a case.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
because when I first called the lawyer about all this, they thought that that's what was going on. And then as I kept speaking more and more and more, then they didn't want anything to do with it. They knew that it was much more.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't anything that perhaps neighbors were doing or something.
But evidence is evidence. You know, when you have evidence, that's a whole, you know, game changer.
Yeah, you've got it.
Yeah. Just got to find the right lawyer who can't be bought from the other side.
You'll probably find one. Might take a little time. When I started talking about it, that lawyer was like right there with me until I kept talking, and at that finally he realized, oh no.
It was too big for him. You need.
Right.
I would like to have somebody that was, you know, sort of on this side of the fence that already has handled these types of cases.
Well, I suppose you could Google and then perhaps just call lawyers. I guess that's the only way you can handle it. Maybe you could Google, like, you know, electronic devices, cases in Massachusetts, and see if anything comes up, or, you know, and maybe there's a lawyer that's maybe near you or something that might have handled a case like that.
Well, it would be Supreme Court, I would imagine, and not
necessarily.
Court.
No, a lot of things happen in district.
Really?
You'd be surprised. Yeah, you'd be surprised. I read a lot about that in the last couple of years. You'd be surprised with, you know, a lot starts in district courts.
And then you elevate it or escalate it to Supreme Court if you don't get your way.
Not necessarily. It depends.
Well, if it does.
But a lawyer would tell you everything.
Yeah.
It would be helpful.
I'm not too. My ex-husband's a lawyer. I know lawyers to me. I mean, they're not all above board. Put it that way.
No, I know
so
what
I just
you mean.
like to get one on the inside. But
sure.
Thank you for that information.
You're welcome.
Okay, Stella, in the chat is a link to our archives. It lists that Massachusetts law. So,
really? Okay.
Yeah, it's Archive 9.
When did they do that? When did they put that into law?
I think I've got a date here. Hold on a second.
And I'm surprised that all other states haven't done that.
Is it 2004?
July 15th, 2004.
Excellent. Wow. So for the fact of the matter, so it's an easier, sort of a slam dunk, if you will, because Massachusetts there's no nonsense there. They've already put that into place. Yeah. Whereas the other states have not done that as of yet. But, you know, there's consequences, but there's nothing written.
Right, like someone could maybe get, you know, charged with assault with a weapon, but here they could get charged with, you know, just owning that weapon because they're not supposed to. That's illegal.
Right. That's fantastic. All right. Awesome. Thank you so much. I didn't know that. That's good information.
Yeah.
Hey, Stella, don't go away. You're doing a good job.
Surprised I'm not asleep yet. I've been up since 4. But
yeah, our guest was almost asleep, I think, because he's that was 4 o'clock in the morning where he is.
Yeah, that was really nice of him to either stay up or get up.
Yeah, Catherine used to have to do the same thing, Catherine Horton. She used to have to, I'll have to stay up then. We'll be looking for you. But we haven't really heard too much from Catherine lately.
She's in Czechoslovakia, or?
No, she's in actually Germany. She was
Germany.
Switzerland, but they gave her.
Hmm.
They told her to move on out after her case. I guess it caused a lot of commotion between the UK and Switzerland. A lot of discourse, shall we say, a lot of discourse.
Richard hasn't been on lately. I haven't heard from him. Or, heard him on the calls. Maybe he's just tired.
You should check on him.
He's always on the calls, and lately...
He gets tired.
Yeah.
Being hassled by people, I guess.
Can't blame him.
Yeah. I can't believe it's 10:36 and we just got 54 people. That's it for Friday night. Wow.
What were you saying about before about Midge and everybody? Is everybody going to be on a call tomorrow night, or are you talking about something else?
Ella can't make it tomorrow night, but Midge and I will be doing the Saturday night call, and you're welcome to join us too.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Yeah.
You ever have a DoorDash delivery, Frank?
A DoorDash delivery?
DoorDash.
No, I haven't.
They don't have they might have DoorDash delivery from all kinds of different restaurants. You go to DoorDash.com, and then, your local restaurant, or Grubhub, same thing. They're kind of the same, but they are different companies. But yeah, I think I might do that, deliver food. But they can make almost $25 an hour. And you do, you're supposed to be paying taxes and everything, but it's still pretty good money. Gotta use
I heard that DoorDash was decent pay.
Yeah.
And the busiest night is Sunday night, if you can believe that.
Well, I was just going to say something about Sunday. I signed up to be, they call it a dasher. I might be a dasher. But so I haven't done it yet, but I've been noticing that they increase the pay a little bit. They call it peak pay. And I noticed that on Sunday that they were paying they always pay you $2, and then they were adding an extra $4 plus tips, and that's per order. And I noticed that on Sundays, so that's funny you said that. Yeah.
Yeah. Because my nephew does DoorDash, and he said Sunday is the best day.
Yeah.
Sunday evening, but I think even Sunday during the day a little bit.
Yeah, I think I noticed last Sunday morning breakfast might have been, they were adding maybe at least $2 extra on top of the $2. Yeah. Well, a lot of people eat out Sunday mornings or at breakfast. Yeah. I lived here a lot of.
I think it's kind of a lifesaver for a lot of people.
It's no joke though. It's they have an incentive this weekend too in my area. I'm in Western Massachusetts. If you do 20 orders today, which is almost over, but then tomorrow, they gave you 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, do 20 orders, deliveries, which isn't too difficult. They'll give you an extra $100.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. That's not too bad.
Totally worth it.
It's not like they said, do 100 orders this weekend and get $100. Then you don't. I mean, that's probably impossible. They seem very fair.
Yeah, that sounds like a bargain. Yeah, I thought you were trying to say Jordash.
No, DoorDash.
I know, DoorDash.
I've been screaming this week. I've been screaming all week at these creeps. They really beat me up this week again, and after my 2-week vacation. And so I've been screaming, you're not going to do this to us anymore. This is it. I'm not going through this again. You're not going to start the high blood pressure. And then this morning, they turned the lungs off for 2.5 hours, pinching them off. Not completely, but still. And just really been yelling, so I lose my voice. I just get so mad.
Well, they love to see you struggling and out of breath while you're trying to do something. So it makes you look like an ass. So they do that.
Well, I tell them they're going to hell. You don't deserve anything. Your wife's going to be a witch and a bitch. She's going to divorce you and take all your money. I say everything. But it's awful, though. But you know what's weird is, are they really turning my lungs off because I'm not having trouble breathing? Are they just putting pressure on me or something?
I think they're working on the diaphragm. I'm not sure.
Maybe that's what it is, because I'm not out of breath. And I just started...
Oh, if I were working on your diaphragm, you'd be dead. No,
dead?
Yeah, that's what they just said.
Oh, I'm not... Well, it couldn't be that then.
So it's got to be something else.
You think they could just apply pressure? It's like right in the center of my chest. You know, it's not my heart, but I'm not out of breath unless, you know, if they can pinch the lungs off just a tiny little bit and feel that much pressure, well, then I guess. But I'm not out of breath. So
okay,
I don't know.
That's good. I did speak with the pastor of my church, and she does have a Bible. And I think that probably next week I'm gonna take a ride out there.
Well, I'll see what I'm doing, because I applied to some jobs. We'll see what happens, and I told them I'm fully available and everything, so I don't know what my schedule will be.
Oh, that's quite all right.
Yeah, it is. It's good. Starbucks and TJ Maxx, which are right down the road from me, so it's very convenient. We'll see what happens. I would like Starbucks.
Yeah, I think if you get like $25 an hour
with DoorDash,
yeah, I'd definitely go for that.
Yeah,
it's pretty easy. I mean, you're just gonna pick it up and deliver it. You know.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, they give you the GPS and everything on the app that you have to utilize. So, and I know the area and everything. I've lived here long enough. I know a lot. A lot of restaurants where I live. Well, because I live right in town. I don't live way out, you know. I live in West Springfield, but I live right in town pretty much. I don't live far out in West Springfield. You know, West Springfield's kind of a big town. I don't live far out. It's very, 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 very local for me. I got 1 restaurant, 2 restaurants, and I got like 5 restaurants, which are like 1.5 miles from me. So it's very, very, very good for me.
Yeah, I actually wouldn't know West Springfield if I fell over it, but I'm sure it's a nice place.
Home of the Eastern States, the big, big fair. And it's going to be in September. They're opening it this year.
They are? Okay,
yeah.
I used to go there when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a real fair because they have all of the buildings.
Yeah.
Yep. It's
tons of food, everything you could think of they have.
Yeah.
We'll be going this year because we didn't go last year because they canceled COVID.
Oh, yeah.
It's a big to-do. They get over 1 million people.
Yeah, they were open for how long? What, a week or something straight?
2.
2 weeks.
2 weeks and 3 weekends.
Yeah, they have 4-H clubs there and all their winning calves and stuff like that. They have all kinds of things.
Yep, and tons of retail. Jewelry to mops to, you name it, blankets to, they have a big craft section. People make stuff, candles to, Christmas tree ornaments, all kinds of nice stuff. Wreaths and they got over there they got the Sam Adams beer and, it's really nice. You can sit outside and plus they have a sit-in restaurant too, but yeah, the whole place and then the rides and the games and the livestock, all the animals for the kids. And it's pretty nice.
Yeah.
Big place. A lot of walking.
Oh, yeah, I remember going there. It is gigantic. It's not, well, that's why they call it the Eastern States Exposition, and that's what they used to call it.
Right, they still do, yep.
Instead of a fair, because it's, it's way bigger than a fair.
So then that Lance guy, he's not on here anymore either.
Lance?
That was like last summer, I think. Last fall.
He was on the other night.
Oh.
Wednesday night he was on.
Oh.
Highland.
Well, people get busy too.
Yeah, they sure do. There's so much going on. That's probably what slowed him up is the COVID thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Memoir blew open one of Ella's calls the other night because she started flapping off about this about COVID and that about COVID. Oh, God, I would have murdered her. I got that violation.
Huh. She didn't want to talk about it?
Well, no. I put in the chat, don't discuss COVID. You lose your YouTube channel, And I think she saw it in time, I'm pretty sure. And I was going to say something, but I didn't. I was going to sleep anyway, so I just split.
Can't talk about COVID, I guess.
Nope, nothing about it. Anything contrary to what is professed by the almighty ones there, you're getting in trouble. Yeah, I could say government, I guess, but I don't want to say government. I'm beginning to hate. Yeah, what happened to your mic Wednesday night, Saul?
Me? I think I fell asleep.
No, I unmuted you. You were in the you were in the Q&A, and I unmuted you, and it was like, it sounded like a garbage disposal on somewhere.
Maybe my fan. I have a fan running. I might have fallen asleep.
Yeah.
I do fall asleep sometimes. Usually I'm up by, 6, between 4 and 6, because they wake me up. 12, 2, 4, 6.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes today I said, that's it. I've had it with you guys. You idiots, I'm getting up. Even though I was too tired to get up, I got up anyways. I want to be woken up again.
Yeah. But then if you get up by any chance to use the bathroom, you're up. That's another way they can get you.
Well, yeah, and then I don't want to take NyQuil because then I know the creeps are going to wake me up by 6 or 7, and then the NyQuil makes me too tired.
Yeah.
I don't really like feeling that groggy. They can all go to hell anyways, and they will, putting us through this.
Yeah, so you yell at them too, huh?
Oh, yeah. That's why my voice is the way it is. My mother told me to shut up.
Yeah.
Like, you better get in your car and go cool off.
Your voice sounds perfect.
She doesn't understand this and believe it. I told her, but she doesn't. We don't talk about it. She just thinks I'm having a hard time in my life.
Yeah. Oh, anybody that would like to speak, I think you all know by now, just hit *6, and you can speak. It is open mic Friday night. It feels like we just went right over Friday night because at 11 o'clock to have 47 people is unheard of. Must be something going on somewhere.
I think a lot of things are opening up, and I noticed tonight in West Springfield, I went to CVS, and the one of the local restaurants was packed, because I think that there's a possibility, not positive, but that they are letting more people, go into the restaurants and stores. They're lifting the limits because it was packed. I mean, maybe it's been like that for a week. I just didn't realize. But definitely tonight it was packed. Cars were all the way down the street. That's an Italian restaurant. So people are getting out.
Yeah, it's about time. Maybe all of this will be over by fall. Let's hope so. Well, let's hope it's over by summer. How's that?
Biden said July 1st. Take our masks off, or maybe not take our masks off, but at least, really be with family and friends for picnics and vacations. And
well, that's good.
Yes, it is. But yeah, it should be good by fall. Wish it would warm up a little bit, though. It's a little chilly.
Oh, yeah.
A little chilly.
36 or something like that. It was. Oh, I'm sorry, Doug. I couldn't ask him if there was anybody else in his area.
Oh yeah, I think he said didn't he say like he had like 70 people in his area hospitalized or something like that?
Yeah, I didn't really catch. It was hard for me to understand him, and I'm used to speaking with people from that type of dialect, so I thought I could understand him, but his phone connection was kind of iffy, so that kind of like threw it off.
Yeah. It was, I think he said something like 70, but that were hospitalized that he knew of. So obviously, that was my question. I wanted to ask him, but well, is there anybody else in the area? And he said like, well, 70 people have been hospitalized. So obviously,
the pics that they sent
me.
Stayed on the side of something.
Hi, Matt.
Oh, go ahead.
Hi, Matt. I see you up in the active area.
Is free conference calls going away? See, it's changing the name to Huddle. Does that mean it's not free anymore? There's like a free trial and stuff now on their new website.
What about? What's going on?
Oh, free conference call, is it shutting down? Or it's changing into Huddle?
Huddle?
Yeah.
Well,
I saw that.
Did you see it?
I did see it, but I just thought it was something else you could utilize.
Probably is.
Yeah, hopefully.
If not, we've done it before, changed to something else.
Okay.
Oh, God.
How long has free conference call been around?
Quite a while, actually. And it showed up, I think, just in time, too, because what was that other thing we were on? Anyway, it was great. I mean, Ella was on there for a while. It worked wonderfully. And then they changed it. And you couldn't, it was junk. They ruined it. So they probably lost hundreds of thousands of people by changing it. Then they had the best act in town.
Well, this is pretty good. I'm surprised they don't charge us all. Even if they charged us like $5 a month, I'd pay for it, 10, whatever.
Well, we pay 10 anyway for storage. We could put all of our stuff in cloud storage and not get charged anything, but I think I'm going to have to do that because all these little charges are adding up. Yeah, I think we pay $10 a month for 15 or 20 big every day, something like that. No, did something just happen on your end?
No.
Okay, because there's a loud noise all of a sudden.
Yeah, my mother dropped the remote downstairs.
Oh, okay. Okay, Tucson, did you want to say something? You're up in the active area, too. And Durham, North Carolina? Well, if you want to hang up here for a few more minutes, my pot of coffee.
Frank, say Frank.
Yeah.
I just want to know that, do you know where Menominee Rock Park is there in Arlington?
Run that by me again?
Menominee Rock Park in Arlington, up over the water tower. You're from Arlington, right? You live in Arlington?
No, not Arlington. Arlington is where we held meetings for a while.
Oh, I thought you were from Arlington.
No, Arlington Library.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Kate Ryan was holding meetings there. And the place is like beautiful. And it was in the right part of town. So it was a good place to go.
Yeah. So exactly where are you from then, Frank? Don't want to say. You don't have to say if you don't want to, but what part of Mass are you from?
I'm from Hull, Massachusetts. Hull and Hingham and Boston. So,
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, because I lived in Arlington. When you mentioned Arlington, you had your meetings in Arlington, library and all that. I was assuming you were from Arlington. That's all.
Oh, no.
Okay.
The last Arlington meeting we had was April the 18th, 2017? No, 18.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't that long ago.
No.
Kate, Ryan, does she ever call in?
Kate is one of the cornerstones, we'll say, because she was on FFCH's list of people to call from Massachusetts. So she is one of the first TIs that I've spoke with.
Yeah.
Massachusetts. And she's a very nice woman.
How old do you think she is?
I really don't know.
Oh.
I think she's, I don't know. It's not up to me to.
No, no big deal.
I'll tell you later.
Hmm. Does anybody have anything they'd like to share, please?
Yeah. We've got, you know what it is. Everybody's sitting back listening to us talk, so they don't. Nobody has anything they want to share. So you just chase somebody out. Now we're down to 50. That's all right. It's the time of the night where California comes through. All the
Hello?
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, my name is Anthony.
Hey, Anthony. How you doing?
I'm okay. I mean, under the circumstances, I haven't really been involved in a few years. I just called. I got the PAX International newsletter on the email, and I read it, and it said that there's an 800 number you can call to check in if you want to. So I called and spoke with the young lady, and she gave me the number to this meeting. So I'm grateful for you guys to be here and offer support. I've been a TI for a number of years. The earliest recollection I can think of, I was 16 in high school. 16 or 17, I was in high school, and I heard a voice. And that was just one time. And then I didn't hear anything until I was 33 in the Marine Corps in 29 Palms, California. That was in 2008. And I heard, and from that point on, I've been hearing voices and getting hallucinations and things like that. And it got really bad in 2015, and I was hospitalized again. That's when I realized that it was targeting. I didn't know. I thought it was something spiritual or the voice of God or an angel, not really God, but an angel or something. And I realized that it was something more. It was beyond that, and this is really wild. What happens to us with the voice, the V2K, and all that. So anyway, I just wanted to share that, and hope you guys are doing okay.
Yes, I'm doing okay. I'm Stella from Massachusetts. Thanks for sharing that. I've been a TI for 2 years now. Started earlier than that, though, but I didn't realize what was going on. So really, probably August of 2018, 19, 20, probably like 3 years that I can go back. But when they started pulsing, that was May 1st of 2019. And they started the V2K and, the wake-ups at night. But they were waking me up before that. I didn't know any, but they were silent. But
Yeah.
they're awful, though. They'll all go to hell. Really been bothering me this week. I've been yelling a lot. Kind of lost my voice a little bit. Woke me up Sunday night, Monday night, and well, they wake me up every night. Sunday night, Monday night, and Wednesday night, 6 times. Usually it's 3 to 4.
Your mom?
No less than 3.
Your mom freaks out, huh?
No, she doesn't freak out. She's actually pretty calm about everything. She'll just say, why don't you just go take a drive or something, go to CVS and get me this or get me that. Keep me busy. And
Oh, she's really nice then.
yeah, she is. She doesn't deserve this shit. Worked her whole life. Deal with these assholes waking me up and upsetting me, and none of us deserve it.
No, we don't. Especially you go through life and you start out business when you're a kid and you really break your back, you know, and then you things start to straighten out and everything's great, then slam. You get targeted by this BS, you know. I don't get it.
Yeah.
It seems like one of those things where if I was believing in luck, I'd say, oh, just my luck, you know.
Yeah.
They're not too bad with the high blood pressure with me anymore, though. That was a whole year and 3 months. They can go to heck for that, too. And they will, for all of us. These people are not getting to heaven.
I know that's a favorite tactic of theirs, is to make you tired, and then you're more easily to be annoyed with their garbage. That's why they like to make you tired. Because obviously, when you're tired, you're gonna get more annoyed, and they know that. They do it to where they have you screaming and yelling in thin air,
Yeah.
And that's what they know that. That's why they keep you up, sleep deprived, and then you're real irritable, and these work. Yeah, they work on that. Yeah, they're really psychopaths with their methods.
They are psychopaths, Doug. You're right.
Oh, definitely got that.
Also, when you're sleep deprived, you don't think as well, and then it lowers your immune system too. I mean, it affects a lot of things. It affects your memory, a whole litany of things.
I knew that was Bartow, Florida. You have to do something about your volume because I think you just...
I'll go on mute. I'm sorry. I don't know what's wrong with my phone.
Maybe you just turn it down a little.
I think you turn down one, it controls the other.
I did get my hair done today, though. I got it, sort of highlighted, blondish a little bit. So that was nice.
Yeah, I bet.
I haven't done that in a long time, so...
How long
That's
is your,
nice.
Gotta do something.
How long is your hair, Scylla?
Oh, just to my shoulders.
Oh, that must be really nice. It's good to treat yourself every once in a while. Go out and do something like that. And Makes you feel good. Makes you feel better.
It does. I went to TJ Maxx and I bought a shirt too. T-shirt. So.
Good for you. Yeah, definitely. Now, if you land a job, you'll be all set.
Yeah, I'll be okay. If these perps let me keep it, they better leave me alone. Somebody else complained about that too months ago. She's like, girl, I don't know who she was. I just don't remember. But she's like, I got a job now and I'm trying to work, and said something on the lines of like, getting ready or up there, giving me a hard time. And, I don't know if she said high blood pressure or not. She might have. I don't really remember, but it's like, it's really difficult trying to work.
Yeah. Yep.
Just want you to sit in bed or sit in your chair in one room and that's it. Jail.
Oh, yeah. They're all up in arms about me going to church. Oh, boy. They don't want me to go however many, however far it is. They want you to stay right where you are, like you said. Sit, or preferably stay in bed, where they can control you better, they think. Well, they can try to, anyway.
They usually cool it with me when I get in the vehicle. Not always, though. There's been times where they don't. They did not, turn the high blood pressure down. But lately, they've been better. Because I always bring up the fact, I'm like, you freaking motherfuckers. There are innocent people out here on the road. Who the heck do you think you are? If I could get into an accident, anything could happen. You're pushing me. I'm speeding a little bit. I'm really upset. And start to calm it down. I'm like, you don't care that I could get into an accident with somebody? What kind of program is this? Just don't care about humans? Nobody? Does it matter? God, any of us get into a vehicle, leave us alone.
Not only that, then they can do things that they can make visions like a car's pulling really close to you to make you want to think you want to swerve around, things like that. They can make light changes, and I sure it didn't change. They did that to me a couple times. And I went through a red light, and I thought it was green, and I got stopped for it. I actually thought it was green, but it was red. They do all kinds of crap like that.
Oh, no. So the police pulled you over, Doug?
Yeah, I got ticketed. I thought it was a green light arrow, but he said, no, it wasn't. I said, yes, it was. He goes, no, it wasn't. They had me think it was green arrow, and it wasn't.
That's too bad.
Oh, yeah. So they do all kinds of stuff. But the thing is, what you say it's factual is that they have no qualms about making you swerve, make your arm go left or right, holding the steering wheel, things like that. Yeah. They have no problem getting yourself in an accident.
Yeah, they make trouble for everybody. They don't care. Or potentially could be. That's not right.
Yeah,
the one visual thing they like to do to me is kind of like someone pulling out of a parking lot, right? And then make it look like the vehicle is starting off in front of me, where I want to veer to the left, which could put me into a head-on collision with another vehicle. You know, I don't steer that hard because now I know they can do that. But that's the visual things they can do to you.
Right. It's not right. $52 people on the call. Would anybody like to share anything, please?
Yeah, I know. See, we've got a bunch. We have a lot of new people here tonight. Peggy's here. Ann's here. Marilyn's here. Kingston, Massachusetts is here. I wonder who that is.
Is Kingston Cape Cod?
It's getting towards it, yeah. Kingston is still before the bridge. And it's northerly of the canal and before Plymouth.
I would like to share something. This is Dana.
Hi, Dana.
Hi. Maybe it'll scare everybody, but I don't want to scare people, but I want to share this story because I have never forgotten it. But 2010, I met a gentleman that was non-military. He was just a regular civilian, and he and I had conversations by phone. And I met him through my daughter, and he wanted to talk to me about the country, and so we were discussing politics, and he was telling me during Obama's administration that he was a Christian, and he would pray for the president, and he felt like he was being targeted. And one night he was sitting in his vehicle, and the passenger seat, got hit by some kind of weapon. It actually broke the metal of the seat, and then it torched the seat. So I just wanted to share that story because the more aggressive they become, things like that, are imminent, I think. And so my encouragement is that we should pray to the Lord and ask Him to shield us from such things. My house keeps getting hit with what I understand is acoustic weapons. So, I'll be in my room and they'll hit my ceiling, and it makes a cracking sound. And at first I thought, what are they going to do? Crack my house in half? That's how I felt. But, I believe that my house will be protected. However, with all these documents, that you were speaking of earlier, with the military grade weapons and all that, isn't there anything we can do to write to heads of military? I don't know if that's a stupid idea, but to discuss that it's a actionable lawsuit on behalf of civilian life if they keep allowing this to happen to us, because we're non-combatants, and whoever's doing it, they're expanding, they're targeting to civilians. They've been doing it for years, and it's what I understand it is that it is the Phoenix operation. It's silent weapons for quiet wars. I'm sure everybody's familiar with that. And petition our Congress to stop funding the military, wherever that money's coming from, I don't know. But I wish we could do a letter or something to address it and show the patents on these weapons and say we're aware of all this, kind of as a group, of course, and have our signatures on it. I don't know if that's a stupid idea. I've been thinking about it. I don't want to be a lone ranger and write a letter to the senator. I don't think that's going to do anything. So I don't know what your thoughts are.
That's a very good idea.
And show the patents, all the patents, of the weapons, and list them and say these are being used on us, and we're not stupid,
Yeah, Helena Zorba just did a petition. I'm not sure whether she has submitted it yet, but she had over 2,500 signatures on it. So yeah, it's a good idea. Very good idea. So yeah.
And if we did sue, that you have to be incompetent to represent yourself in this country, because a lot of the courts here, as we know, are insufficient for our cause. They're not going to care about us, even though we've written letters already. A lot of us, I know there's many that have written letters to senators and House reps and discussed this with them in a nice way. It's not going to do any good. And so I think if we do a very strongly worded letter with all the patents of the weapons listed and say, we cannot prove who, but it is your duty as, government officials, you're civil servants, you're not kings of the world, you are civil servants, and you are responsible to address this and bring it out in the media.
They are also responsible to protect you. It's in the Constitution.
Right.
So they are guilty of not protecting you as a citizen.
The other thing, too, is that this gentleman, whose name I don't remember because this was in 2010, we only had maybe like 5 conversations on the phone. And he's told me that let's see, where is that at? The National Defense Act, he read portions of it. And in the portions of the National Defense Act, now I don't know if they've gone in and changed it, but at one point it had descriptions of, these are satanic things, okay, of what they are going to do to civilian life. And after that after those phone calls, my phones have always been tapped. My phones have always been tapped since I was a child, actually. And so I noticed a lot more aggressive phone calls after I was speaking to that guy, because he brought up the National Defense Act. And I'm trying to remember where we got it out of, which website, but I was reading portions of it. It'd make you sick. I don't even want to repeat it on the call because it has to do with our genitalias, So I think we need to go after Congress as a community, and I've been feeling that, but I just don't think that, we're going to have to be doing it. We need to pray about how we can do it in a powerful way, an effective way, and for us not to get killed, So, but that's my suggestion.
Great idea. Most definitely, that's a great idea.
They crack my ceiling all the time, probably at least once a day. They used to do it more. They would do it like 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 times a day. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Now it's like once a day.
Do what? Do what with your feelings? Do what?
Make them sound like a cracking noise, a ceiling noise, crack.
Oh yeah.
Settling or something. They've been doing that to me since before I even knew I was a target. But they didn't do it often before I knew I was a target. Just like, maybe once every 2 weeks or something. I didn't think anything of it. I thought maybe the house was settling.
I think isn't it their way of letting us know they're here, they're watching us, that type of thing? You think that's why they're doing it?
I don't know what the heck the ceiling means. The ceiling crack. I guess so. I don't know. Because they tap the windows glass too on me. They used to always do that. They don't do it so much anymore. They used to tap the back door. Like, what the?
Oh, I used to get knocks in the middle of the night at midnight, people pounding on my door in the middle of the night while I was taking care of my mom who was dying. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, they would pound on my doors with their fists, you know, to startle me, to scare me. I mean, I put up with a lot of crap in Nevada, and I keep praying to God, I just want to sue the shit out of every one of them. But, you know, I do. I want to sue the shit out of them and be wealthy out of it. I've suffered a lot. But I'm resilient, you know. God seems to, like, regenerate me. Even after, like, I went through a huge wave of attacks last week, and I was praying, and my prayers are violent. Like, I pray things like this. I say, Lord, burn all of the weapons aimed at me with your fire, because God is powerful, you know, and he's going to burn his enemies with the brightness of his coming when he comes back. And so my prayer is that, like, Lord, burn their weapons, the beams, and I even pray for God to break their equipment. And then it was like I was in seventh heaven for days. Like nothing was touching me, nothing. And it worked. And, well, anyway, I just pray very violently against them so that I can maybe have some breaks in between, you know, and it helps.
Yeah, they're up and down with the torture. They gave me like 2 weeks off, and then they started up again this week. Awful.
You know, they need to be put to death, all those people.
Well, I don't know about that, but they should be in jail.
Well, some of them want to kill us, so it's either them or me.
I'd rather them suffer in jail. Sit there. Let them sit there.
Well, God's judge. He's going to do what he wants, but...
Well, they're not going to go to heaven, that's for sure. No room for them. No way. Can't hurt people like this on purpose.
Well, you know, it occurred to me, too, after, you know, I read a lot, you know, that they refer to CERN in Switzerland as the Beast. That's their pet name for CERN. They refer to it as the Beast, and their logo is 3 6s inside of each other.
Oh.
And so then I started researching more about CERN, and, you know, that it's connected to the brain, and it's connected to the Internet, and all of the Internet of Things, okay? It's all interconnected. And I just got rid of somebody in my life that, this is a funny story, okay? I met this guy, and because I needed help with my car, because I got in a car accident. And he helped me by driving me to the place. I could have done Uber, but, you know, he was available. He's a friend in the community over here. And I went into his house, and everything in his house is, like, connected to Alexa. Do you guys know what Alexa is?
Oh, yeah.
You talk to it. It tells you things. What's the weather like in New Mexico? And it gives you the answer. Yeah. And so I learned about Alexa, that it's connected to people's microchips. So they're talking telepathically to Alexa. And Alexa is tied to the weapon system. And so it's all interconnected. So let's say you have a neighbor across the street and acting kind of funny or whatever, doesn't like you for no reason. And they could quite possibly talk to Alexa, ask where you're going. Like if you get in your car, where are they going? And try to find out, where you're going, what you're doing. It's really creepy. So the whole time of my interactions with this gentleman helping me with my car, which now I don't think is much of a gentleman, I just got the creepiest feeling that he's using Alexa to find out where I'm going and what I'm doing. I just really think that he's doing that. He just said some things that were really, like, how would he know that? How does he know that about me? Or, I went over to his house and, he said to me, he goes, you like mysteries, don't you? I said, well, how would you know that? You like crime-solving mysteries, don't you? I said, how would he know that? Well, I don't know. Anyway, it's becoming really invasive. Everything's invasive. All their weaponry is invasive. But he talks to that dang Alexa all day long. So
I don't talk to her that often.
Just creepy,
My mother plays music with it and stuff. Kind of nice. She's in the kitchen.
Anyway, I don't want anything to do with any of that stuff because I don't want to be connected even more so to any of it. I disconnected my cable and everything. I only have my phone. I don't have internet. My house is relatively calm other than when they come in here and they start pounding me. But other than that, it's nice and calm in here.
Do you have children?
I do.
Are they older or do they live with you?
No, they're older.
Oh, well, that's good.
And they live in another state. My whole family is spread out. And my brothers thought that I was crazy when I was trying to tell them some of the things that was happening to me. But then my other brother in Nevada was like, you know what, Dana? He knew, like, they were doing stuff to me. There was some kind of gang doing things to me, or terrorist cell. And he didn't want to talk too much about it after that, but he realized, he goes, you're not crazy, but, But my other brothers, except for, I guess I would say 2 of my brothers don't think I'm crazy. And my brother's wife in L.A. had to go on meds because she had a nervous breakdown, and they diagnosed her with schizophrenia. And she was hearing voices telling her not to eat dry cereal. And she wigged out. She's a target, but she doesn't know it. I don't talk to her about it, but she's on meds because she had a nervous breakdown from all of it.
I believe that.
But so 2 of my brothers think I'm sane, and my other 2 brothers think I'm nuts. So it's the way it is.
Yeah.
And the thing you can always tell them is that it's going on all over the United States and worldwide. So that's the phenomenon and how it's going on all over the world.
It is. Well, we're under international law now because, the Pope declared that the UN is the supreme body or government of the world. So
Okay, I guess it takes a little bit of time to digest what the Pope said, I guess.
Well, he's in a position of power and authority in the world. He's declaring, he's making that declaration. If you go on YouTube, I think there's a film of it, but he's making that declaration to let us know that our Constitution falls under the UN and the international law of the UN, and it takes precedence over the U.S. Constitution. And in his mind and his declarations, and that it's all going to be okay. Everybody's going to have one big party. We're going to be willing slaves, Yeah,
the term willing slaves doesn't agree with me. I don't think Solo likes that one either too much.
Hi, it's Becky. So, did he literally said we were going to be willing slaves, or you're just?
No, I'm being sarcastic, but
okay.
Basically, that anytime you have somebody that wants to rule the world, that it is Antichrist, according to the Bible. And my dad used to tell me that because he fought during World War II. But anytime you have a body of people wanting to rule the world, just like Nazis, they were going to take over the whole world. It's Antichrist.
Are you guys talking about Gates?
Oh, yeah, Bill Gates is in on it, I'm sure.
Who else are you naming?
Oh, I'll name the obvious, which is pretty much out in the open that he supports globalism.
Yes, Becky, can I ask you another question? Are you the same person that recommended videos by Walter Veith, V-E-I-T-H?
Yeah.
Okay, I watched that one, Persecuted, and he was talking about Rome and Roman Catholics and all that. And anyway, he was basically kind of saying what's going on. I don't know if you watched that one or not.
Yeah, I've been watching all of his video tutorials, his lectures. He's very knowledgeable.
Yeah. I tried to listen to the Great Reset. There's part 1 and part 2, but they blocked me. The part 1 was talking, kind of explaining it, and then part 2 was supposed to get into the meat of it all, and then the perp blocked me so that I couldn't watch the Reset 2, so I didn't get to see it.
What are you talking about?
Oh, he's got that one on the Great Reset. He has a part 1 and part 2 video on YouTube.
Who is it?
Walter Walter V-E-I-T-H is his last name.
V-E-I-T-H. Fiend?
How do you pronounce his name? I don't know.
It's Weiss. So he's German, okay? It's V as in Victor, E as in Edward, I as in India, T as in Tom, H as in Harry, Walter Weiss. And his channel is called Amazing Discoveries. And what you want to look for is you want to look for Freemasons. Do they worship Lucifer? And Freemasonry and Islam and Catholicism, it's like he shows where it all started. He knows a lot about history, and he knows a lot about the Freemason Society. And so he studied it, and he studied different translations of the Bible. And he studied Mormonism. He studied the Book of Freemasonry. He studied a lot, and he's a professor, and he's older, but he's very intelligent. He's retired, but he traveled the whole world and spoke, to different universities and gave lectures on teaching people about, the order. So basically, in the nutshell, it's that Freemasonry runs the Council on Foreign Relations and runs the UN. So all the decision making that's affecting the global population is coming from them, those two entities. And they're making the decisions for us. So what it's leading into is totalitarian socialism. They want to abolish the U.S. Constitution is what they want to do. It's very sick. It's sick. It's basically the same thing as when Hitler tried to rule the world, through Nazism. But Nazism was Luciferian. So it's all tied to Luciferianism, worshiping Lucifer. And so when someone becomes a Freemason, they're not aware that when they climb the ladder in society that they're worshiping Lucifer. They don't know that till they hit the 32nd degree. Okay, when they hit, I think, the 32nd degree, they're told, you worship Lucifer. That is the light bearer and all this kind of crap. It's just a belief system, It's actually a religion in itself.
Mhm. Yeah, but is it like this is global, right? This is very global. They say 176 countries have signed on to this.
Yeah, because it's through the power elite. Like in Italy, it's the Catholic Church. It's Catholicism, and then you have your Club of Rome and the Knights of Malta, and there's all these different names, that are attached. It's just like my friend from South Africa. She's African American, and
but
she said,
"But don't you think that what they're doing is they're designing the narrative to fit the target, like they do with targets with us? They fit the narrative to fit each person, that they go to each country and say, well, you'll get this and you get this and you get this if you give up
right.
this.
They're making all the executive decisions about banking, finance. They're making executive decisions on housing. They're making executive decision on inflation. They're making all those decisions for us. They're stripping us right now.
Right. Exactly. This is Agenda 2130.
Right.
I've been yelling about this for a long time.
Yeah, and not every member of our military believes in all that crap. Okay? I'll let you know that there are many people in the U.S. military that hate all that. Where are they? They're there. Okay.
Well, the military, when you join, you take an oath to the Constitution. You don't take it to the president. You don't take it to Congress. You don't take it to another man. You take it to the Constitution. And you can call them on that. And the same with these judges. You can call them on their oath. Ask them to recite it before your case goes before them. Same with a doctor. Do you know your Hippocratic oath? Do no harm. You can say this to them. You can remind them of it.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that that's a very important tool that we've have ignored and misused, that these people are all under oath. I know when I joined the military, I took an oath to the Constitution, and I am a constitutionalist. And the military, even though they may be white supremacists or black supremacists or whatever you want, the Constitution supersedes all of it. And people have to understand that. I think that the only way that we can possibly win this, and I do see little sparks of it coming through, is to remind the elite that someday, they may need that Constitution. And if they destroy it and shred it, it'll be gone and it won't be there for them.
Wasn't it George Bush Jr. who said the Constitution is just a piece of paper?
Right. He's an idiot. He always was an idiot. The only reason he was elected was because Cheney was behind him, and Cheney is a big white supremacist. He's behind all of this bullshit. He's behind a lot of it.
Yeah, there's a lot of powerful people, there's a lot of power for people that we don't even know their names, and yet,
the
and
transnationalists, right?
Yeah, and even in the court system, I learned that this is sick, okay, but there, even in the court system or judicial system, like for instance in Arizona, there are judges, appellate judges that are Freemasons. They are actually making executive decisions: who gets to live, who gets to die, who gets to work, who can't work, who should not work, and deeming innocent civilians as a threat to national security and all this crap. This is going on.
That's another thing, too, about the Freemasons, that people should remind them of them if they know who they are, because it's supposed to be this big secret society, is that in this country, they are under the auspices of the Constitution before they are a Freemason.
Yeah, because freedom of religion. But you see, it's not really, they can say they are a religion, but to me, they're a criminal organization because they're attacking me because I'm a Christian,
I think they're attacking everybody, whether
well,
you're
yeah, they
Christian
are.
or not.
I agree that because, like I said, they're actually making decisions and saying, okay, this group of people over here we have no use for. And this is going along the lines of eugenics, okay? So they believe in eugenics. So if they're believers in eugenics, then they are murderers.
Right.
So
they don't believe in religion.
So Freemasonry, bottom line, is a criminal organization.
Well, I have a friend that we discuss this a lot with, and she has said that this is a global criminal organization and to follow the money. And I agree with a lot of that. But one of the things that we just talked about tonight that I thought I would bring out is the fact that if the elite could not do what they're doing if they didn't have the technology behind them. The technology is the power behind the throne.
Right.
If they, like for instance, they watch me, I have a combination lock on my bedroom. They watch me to see the combination. If it wasn't for the camera, they would have no power to do that. I would still have my privacy. And democracy is privacy. Remember that.
Right.
You demand your privacy at all costs, because without privacy you have no democracy. You are a naked soul to the elements, and they are the elements. Anyway, because if you think of what mind control can do, you think about what subliminal projection, which is mind control, that's Aldous Huxley's words for it. And this was back in if you go to YouTube and punch in Mike Wallace and Aldous Huxley, his interview, he talks about, this was done in the 60s, 50s, 60s, this interview, and he talks about subliminal projection in that interview and how dangerous it is, and that he was scared of the technology that was coming up. I didn't know that it was that old. I know that they discovered it with the ships after World War II there, or during World War II, but I didn't know that it was, so it's been around for a long, long time, how they can mind control someone with triggers and subliminal projection. It's terrifying. Without that, and without the directed energy weapons coming through the wall to punish you with or to manipulate you with, if they didn't have that, or even AI, they would have no power except a war type of out in the open rather than a secretive Holocaust. And I know that the Jewish people resent the fact that I call this a silent Holocaust, but it is a silent Holocaust. They just don't know it yet, because they want the word Holocaust to be for them for World War II, and I'm real sorry. but it's
I know, and you know, I hate talking of anything negative about Jewish people because my dad fought in World War II, and that's where I'm coming from, and so I'm, you know, I try to hesitate to talk about anything, you know, negative because
listen, you know the Jews that run around with the curls and the black suits. I forget what they're called. They are against what the Jewish state is doing in Israel. They are protesting it. They are protesting the global takeover. They are on our side. I was really blown away by that, but it's true. You know?
Yeah, I mean, it is a Holocaust. It's a global economic Holocaust. We're under, right now in our country, it's my opinion, we're under a medical and military dictatorship. We're actually under martial law still, and because of what's going on. And this is a medical dictatorship that's telling us what to do about our bodies.
What they want to do is to bring this situation, this economy, down to zero. And then Agenda 2130 is going to step in as savior. They're going to be the new religion. They want to get rid of all religion. The state wants to be, well, what is known as, this will be a global state, want to be considered the new religion. They got this idea from North Korea, and they got this idea from China, and they got this from Japan during World War II. The Japanese, the emperor was head of state, but also head of religion, same in the UK. That's exactly what they want to do here. They're modeling this, a lot of this stuff after China. I absolutely am astounded that I could even say that. But I can't.
Yeah. We're living in very scary times.
Democracy is dead.
I mean, we're supposed to be a republic, you know, but we transferred, or, you know, we mutated to a democracy. However, originally our Constitution was setting our government up for a republic. And so we've lost it. We've lost that republic. Historically, we were a republic. And now we're a democracy.
Of a republic? What is the definition of a republic? I really don't know.
Well, do some research on it. But, you know, democracy, the corporate people have more power of dictatorship in a democracy than versus a republic. It's more ruled by the people, the working class. It's more in the hands of the citizens, decision-making on laws. It's not that the laws are made by corporations to shield them, you know, from prosecution. It's like now you can't even sue really for medical malpractice because of the laws. They changed the laws.
Right.
You know, and before, if somebody killed your husband by doing a surgery on him and he screwed up, you could sue that doctor for killing your husband. Now, the doctors are protected, so they can kill your husband and be shielded from prosecution. You know what I'm saying? That's the difference. That's one example of the difference between a republic
and these people that are killed with the shot, the COVID shot, all the people that died from the shot, not the COVID, but the shot.
Hey, memoir,
what?
No COVID.
Wait a minute. What I wanted to say is
don't
you
say
can't
anymore.
sue.
Don't
you
say
can't
anymore.
sue. You can't
Don't
sue
say
the
anymore.
pharmacy. You
don't
can't
say anymore.
Why? You can't
I can't
sue the
put
pharmacy.
it on YouTube.
What?
Hey, no more.
Why?
It's a YouTube violation.
It's a YouTube violation.
Yes,
yeah,
it is.
you can't talk about that on his show right now, or on his conference call,
or on Ella's, or anybody else.
We can't mention the C word, okay? So we'll just drop it. But
who
because
Who said no? Was it the host or YouTube?
YouTube.
Huh. Wow.
Hey, Buzz, I saw a show, a 700 Club show, and they were talking about how all the big corporations like Amazon and Google, are censoring us, and they decide by, what music we listen to, and, they eavesdrop on everything we do. And if they don't like our views on politics or religion, then they'll block our phone calls, maybe make it so you can't apply for a job online. And it says it right on the 700 Club. It had listed all these big corporations on there that they're all in cahoots doing this to us. I've been having this happen to me for years. They were blocking me from getting jobs years ago, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. Luckily, where I work now, they had paper applications back then when I got on. I don't know what I would do if I had to apply online for a job now, because I don't think they'd let me get a job.
Well, I heard, that our phones and our...
Isn't that censorship? Isn't that censorship? Kind of like communist?
Yes.
Yeah. So, okay, for instance, your computer, your phone, there's a back door. I think we were discussing that one night about the back door. So they can go into your phone and set it up so you cannot get anywhere with finding a job online. This is what's going on because I've been experiencing that. And they've been in my phone, hacking my phone. Whoever's doing it has been in my phone illegally, going into my phone and hacking it. So.
Yeah, I know. They erased it up.
This is our reality, and as sad as it is, this is the reality. This is what we're facing. We're facing global totalitarian socialism.
Yeah. Oh, Fail State said in the chat that the Republic is no one is above the law. That's the rule by law, not rule by man. Rule by man is what we're going through right now. All these guys getting together and deciding what the rules are going to be. The new rules are going to be.
Right. They're changing the laws, and that's what biblical prophecy shows, like in the book of Revelation, that, they will change the laws. The Antichrist, the beast system, they're all going to be changing the laws. So we won't have what we have been used to, having a constitution protecting our civil rights, because they're going to be changing those laws.
Yeah, I know it's all over the world. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, I noticed on the Citizens Against Harmful Technologies website, I noticed it said that they, in the Great Reset, that they think that anyone 70 years and above should be dead. I'm 64, so doesn't make me feel too good knowing. I already know they want me dead now anyway, but I don't know.
They want everybody dead. I don't think that there's any excuse. They want to throw these vaccines in pregnant women. How many women? Oops, sorry. A lot of women have.
When they change that age themselves, right?
Huh?
Except for when they change that age themselves, then it's different because they're special.
A lot of these.
Yeah, like Biden. How old is Biden? I'm sure he's 70-something years old.
They can change your appearance. They can change your health. They can do anything with these directed energy weapons. These frequencies have a big effect on your life, and they promote use,
So you were saying they get in your bedroom at night too, huh? You're the one that said they know your code and they get in your bedroom?
Yeah.
Yeah, that they get in my place every night. I guess they gas me, and I don't know how they drug me once they get in here to keep me, passed out. But they make it real obvious that they've been in my place.
Yeah, and then if you try to hide something, and because you don't want them to get it, then you forget. You have a hard time remembering, of course, because your memory's affected. So you can't remember where you put this object, and then finally you find it and find out that you're the one who hid it, which is what I did. But I mean, everything, you know, it's to promote the fact that reality is something that you have to stick hard to and grasp hard to, or else they mess with you.
That's not what they do to me. I'll try to hide stuff, and then they'll find it. Like there's nothing I can hide. They don't know that I'm hiding it somewhere. And then they will put it somewhere else on purpose so that I'll find it somewhere else to let me know we found it. And then it's just a big mind game, you know?
Yeah, it is. See, two things cause insanity. One is doubt in yourself, and let's see, what is the other thing? It's doubt and isolation. And who's isolated? All of us. I mean, this thing going on that I'm not supposed to say is causing the isolation. And if you have doubt in your reality, that will cause insanity. And that's pretty much basically what they're testing, that theory. I think it works.
You know, I had a friend that was...
Isn't that a start of clamping down on free speech, telling people what they can say on YouTube?
I'm sorry?
I couldn't hear you. I think you were talking maybe too close to your phone or something. I don't know.
No,
anyone else didn't hear?
No, isn't that a start, free speech, clamping down on free speech, that you can't talk about the C word?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. It's like, how many of you guys get punished after we're on these calls? I usually get really bad targeting after I've been on these calls.
Well, we're gluttons for the truth. And, you know, I had a friend that was a nurse, right? And she was diagnosed with schizophrenia. I think I might have told this story already, and if I have, I'm sorry. But she was hearing voices in the TV, and they were telling her that they were God, okay? And so she told her mom, oh, God, I think I'm hearing voices. They're telling me it's God, and it's coming from the TV. And so what does the mother do? The mother takes her to the doctor, to a psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist diagnosed her with paranoid schizophrenia. So she had to be on medicine.
Oh, wow.
You see how destructive they are? They're so destructive. That's why they need to be destroyed. And they will be, you know.
No. The only thing that we, the people, had relief from a despot is like in Chile with Pinochet. He died of old age. He died at 88. The same with Mao. He died of old age. Stalin also. This is the only thing that gave us relief. But these people in D.C. and the transhumanists, they want to live. They think that they can live to 150, and that's at least 2 generations.
Oh, really? So they think they should be able to live to 150, and the rest of us should die at 70 or sooner?
545.
Oh, God.
You know,
wow.
This is feudal system. This is going back to the feudal system where the lord of the manor and the peasants were going to be peasants. They want us all stupid, you know.
Yeah, they've been coming in my work lately. I do merchandising, and so I'm supposed to make the lamp department all beautiful. And so they come in there, and I know it's them. they'll take price tags off of lamps. So they'll switch them around. They'll take hardware off of them and stuff to try to make it so I look bad, you know, in my merchandising. And they were in there again today. So it's kind of getting to be a problem. But I don't know what to do. I can't really say anything to my boss about it, you know.
Yeah, they pulled a good. They came in the other day and they took a nail or a screw, and I have a metal frame of my 4 grandchildren, and they drove the screw into the frame so you can obviously see it. And this was to me a threat against my grandchildren. And then today my grandson took me food shopping because I can't ride the elderly bus anymore because there was an incident with Mark Basket about the mask. I didn't wear it high enough on my nose, and they insisted that I wear it high on my nose, and I told them to piss off. So I wrote a letter to Mark Basket, their corporate office, and told them that leave me alone. I've had 5-year clerks at once harassing me. Get off my ass, or I'll see you in court. And so they go in the background. But on the way home from going to Market Basket, a rock flew up and hit my grandson's windshield and cracked it of his brand new car. And I had them do that to me 2 or 3 times in the past. They're really good at it. They're really good at it. They've cracked my windshield 3 times at least, you know, just driving in front of me. They'll jump in front of me, and all of a sudden a rock will come up. And they're good. They practice. This is a military, covert, on the ground, boots on the ground, domestic military mercenaries is what they are. And
right, they're mercenaries.
Yeah. Sure. Some of them get paid, and some of them do it for free.
I used to have people put bullets on my front doorstep too. Like they're letting me know that I'm gonna die, I'm gonna be killed. But nothing's happened to me. I'm 57, and this was when I was in my 30s. They were doing that stuff to me.
Oh,
and you know, I think God's protected me. So that's what I believe, that I've been protected, and so whatever they were thinking back then, putting the bullets on my front doorstep, I guess I proved them wrong, you know, that they didn't do what they were.
I don't think so. The rationale behind that to me is that they want to scare you, okay? They want to threaten you with death. And over time, you get inured to it. You get used to it. It doesn't bother you anymore, the threats for death. And when you are at that point, which I have been for quite a few years because this has been going on a long time, you get to the point where a threat against